Hi everybody, Josiah here, also known as Chilling Silence, and today I'd like to have a chat with you about what your DigiByte wallet is doing when you keep it running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So if you have a PC, you'll have your core wallet, which will look something similar to this. Now, at face value here, it doesn't look like it's doing a lot. However, what you can do is if you hover your mouse above the bottom right corner here, it's going to show me that I currently have 5 active network connections to the DigiByte network. Now, what does this mean? Basically, this means that my wallet is communicating with 5 other different nodes, different servers, different PCs across the world. So if I go up here, I can go to my debug window, and under peers, it's going to show me a list of all of the nodes that I'm connected to. Now you'll see they're bouncing up and down here a bit. So the closest one is 144 milliseconds away. Some of them are 588. So I mean, that could very well be 3/4 of the way around the world. At least you'd hope so with that. Now the reason that it does this is it connects to some that are near you and some that are a long way away from you to prevent any kind of, I suppose, a coordinated Sybil attack where you get isolated on the network based on other nearby peers. Anyway, so what is it doing? Basically, I'm communicating with them, they are communicating with me, and we are sharing copies of the blockchain with each other. So what happens is if you have your ports forwarded, what you'll see down here is that this will actually grow. So right now the limit is 8 because I don't have the ports forwarded through the router here in my day job office. Whereas if I look at home, I've got it set with a max connections of 150. And on some of the servers that I run, the maximum connections is 800, and so I will regularly have the connected people to my individual node hitting 800 people. So what is it actually doing though? And I suppose that's actually a really good question here is, what's the point of it? Like, why would you want to do it? Well, with a blockchain, it relies on everybody all having a copy of it so that you can all verify it. There's actually a really cool little picture here that I'll show you, and this is what happens in terms of mining with the blocks. And so what we do is we take the previous transaction, we take the public keys, we take the hash, the signature, and it becomes the next block and the next block, and it's all, I won't go into it too much, but this is basically what having a full node, which is effectively what the DigiByte Core Wallet is, allows you to do. Now, if you happen to have your cell phone doesn't have the full history of the data, which is currently around about 10 gigabytes. Your cell phone will just have the headers, the overview. But what you're doing with your core wallet here is you are actually doing these verifications in the background, all automatically. Ever since the beginning of time, it allows you to verify and confirm the validity of the details that everybody else basically around the network broadly believes. Now, the important thing here is that anybody can spin up a node. There's no permission, there's no trust, there's no having to believe any one individual person. You basically rely on the fact that there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people out there that have that same copy of the data, that also believe that this is the longest blockchain and the true and accurate record of the DigiByte blockchain. So what's some of the data that you are verifying? Well, for example, if we have a look here, this is basically what your core wallet is effectively doing, but without a nice, pretty web front end. So you are seeing these transactions coming and going. This person with 1,400 digibyte, the previous one 736, another one here 34 digibyte, and so that's effectively what you are doing on your core wallet. Let's actually go into one of these that I opened up earlier. And so this is the kind of the data that you are keeping a record of. So in this particular block, you are able to see that there are 3 transactions. This was the block reward, this was when it was mined, this was the difficulty at the time, and these are the transactions here based on these inputs, these outputs. And so this is what, behind the scenes, is what this is keeping a record of. And by keeping it open, not only are you receiving the copies from other people, you are also sharing it with others. And this is why forwarding of your ports from your modem or your router or your firewall through to your own individual PC or laptop is really quite important, because it allows you to basically be public and to be discovered, so that rather than just my computer here going out into the world to find others, Others can subsequently come and directly find you and see yours and compare against what you've got and allow them to effectively be, let me bring this back up again here, effectively connect to you like one of these nodes here. So it's really important that the blockchain is kept on as many computers and as many different copies as possible. Let's say that there was an issue one day and a nuclear bomb goes off and all of New Zealand is suddenly wiped out. Now, if New Zealand is the only country that has a copy of this blockchain, that's not going to be terribly useful. That's why you need to keep copies everywhere, in New Zealand, in Australia, in the USA, in Hong Kong, in Russia, in England, everywhere around the world. We need people to keep copies of this, and by keeping the full copy of the blockchain, you can independently verify ever since the beginning of time, right the way back to the very first block, that every single transaction is valid, that people had the digibyte that they said they did, and their signatures are what's signed to allow the digibyte to be sent on to somebody else. So I hope this has been educational. I hope you've learned a thing or two about why you would want to run a full node. I would strongly encourage you to do so. If you have a computer, keep it on. It uses basically no additional power by keeping the application open or anything along those lines. So if you have your computer up and running, the bandwidth also is very, very minimal, which you can go into the debug window, and under the network traffic here you can see as well. It's really nothing at all. But by doing so, you are directly contributing and directly helping other people to get a copy of the blockchain and to verify and to validate the true and accurate, I suppose, record of the blockchain based on a global consensus of computers such as yours. So please forward the ports if you do run it. It shows you here the port that you need, 12024. So please forward that port to your PC, make sure it's unblocked by the firewall, and you can even potentially look at adding in an increase in the maximum connections if you think that your PC and your bandwidth can handle it. Basically everybody should be able to. At present, you could even realistically run this over dial-up. The amount of data that's hitting the blockchain is very, very minimal. Consider helping out and consider being a part of the network in this way. So I hope this has been educational, like I mentioned, and keep an eye out. Unfortunately, I've had some personal things going on, and I've had a wedding basically in the family, but I'm looking to get back into doing these twice a week, a little bit more regularly. So stay tuned, and I will talk to you later on in the week. Cheers!